Now on to other news from Indonesia. For the month of June, Indonesia's annual inflation reached its highest level in 5 years, reaching 4.35%. Despite this, Indonesia's annual inflation levels is still lower compared to other countries and parts of the world, such as the Eurozone, which saw 8.6% inflation in June, the highest ever on record. Last Friday, the Indonesian Central Bureau of Statistics announced that Indonesia's annual inflation has increased to its highest level in 5 years. In June, annual inflation came in at 4.35%, which is the highest since June 2017. It is also above the Indonesian Central Bank's inflation target for 2022 of 2 to 4%. The Indonesian Statistics Bureau said that rising food and chili prices were the biggest contributor to inflation, but said that this was mostly due to weather conditions affecting supply. However, analysts like Teguh Wicaksono, the head of the Mandiri Institute, says that Indonesia's rising inflation is following the global trend of accelerated inflation and is something that is difficult to avoid. However, Indonesia is, for now, still faring better than many other countries around the world.
I think it's also useful to look at on the bigger perspective, in the sense that if you look at the global level, I think almost majority of countries experience higher inflation rates, and Indonesia actually is among a few countries with inflation rate below 5%. So in short, yes, we experience accelerated inflation rate in 5 years, and mostly coming from food, which is, we know that it's very volatile. But of course, we cannot avoid in the sense of this trend of the accelerated inflation, given that, at the global level also the prices are rising.
Indeed, Indonesia's annual inflation in June was still lower than inflation in the Eurozone of 8.6%. This was the record highest ever inflation in the Eurozone, driven by record high energy prices. That same month, Pakistan also saw 21.3% annual inflation, the highest in 13 years. In May, Indonesia's inflation was also comparatively lower to that of the US and the UK, which both saw the highest inflation in over 40 years. That month, Singapore's annual inflation also rose to 5.6%, while their core inflation also rose to the highest in over 13 years. In Indonesia, inflation has been kept lower partly due to the government's efforts to provide large sums of subsidies. In 2022, the Indonesian government increased energy subsidies by 74.9 trillion rupiah, bringing the total sum of energy subsidies to 520 trillion rupiah. This has allowed the state oil company to provide subsidized fuel at the same low price of 7,560 rupiah, which is around 50 cents per liter. However, Teguh believes that food prices is something that Indonesia should be more vigilant about, especially since many countries are limiting their exports of food commodities.
The worrying, I think, the most worrying aspect of this inflation is on the fundamental side. I mean, if we look at, the price tell us something, right? So I'm worried more about the food availability rather than, basically prices give signal about the food availability or food shortage. So I think, as you mentioned about this, export restriction on fertilizer, and also on, Russian and Ukraine war, another worrying trend is, increase in protectionism across countries. So, for instance, like India ban exports on wheat, and other countries also follow the same thing. So this, I think, contribute to worsening of the inflation rate.
Currently, Indonesia's central bank, Bank Indonesia, is projecting that in 2022, Indonesia's inflation will reach 4.2%, which is just slightly above their target of 2 to 4%.